And thank you, good people, for
Yeah.
hanging on to this episode of the Real Leaders Podcast with Tim Elmore. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Now it's time, Tim, to answer a few questions that flew in today. And the first one comes from Julie. Julie asked, excellent input, energy, and advice. 2 questions. We'll start with number 1, Tim. From your experiences, what's the one thing you'd recommend for young leaders coming into the CEO space in today's environment?
Wow. One book that I read every year is a book called Leadership and Self-Deception. And I have all of our young team members read that book. So I recommend it. I'm not getting paid to say this, but
Yeah.
Leadership and
Who's the
Self-Deception by
author?
the Arbinger Institute. It's a group of counselors, therapists, psychologists. In fact, I think they're all psychologists. So there would be doctorates in the world of mental health. But it's a parable, and I'm not really into parables as much for books, but it's brilliant. I love it. I read it every year. But it's a book on helping you stay outside the box, not in the box, and that if you read the book, you'll understand what that means. But it really spoke to me at how selfish I tend to be left to myself, and how I start my journey with me in mind more than others. I'm telling you, that book is good for me. So I would say for young leaders stepping into the CEO space, I would have them read that book as step 1 and be willing to be a learner, not just a teacher, as they take over the organization.
That's really good advice. I'm definitely going to check out that book. Question number 2 comes in. What would you suggest for more seasoned CEOs who need to adapt to remain relevant? I feel like we've kind of answered that a few times.
Yeah, and let me just reiterate something I
Yeah.
said before. I think it's deciding on what your timely is and your timeless is.
Right. Yeah.
So clearly we need to adapt and deliver our goods and services in a more relevant way for today and then next year and then the next year. But I think there are some timeless items. So one of our habitudes is called the bit market, the bit market. And the story behind the bit market is simply this. Brand new president of a drill company that sold drill bits and electric drills. And on his first day on the job, the VPs wanted to make a great speech on how wonderful this company was and how they were selling 60% of the drill bits sold in America. They were sure their future was bright. The president stepped up at the end and said something very insightful. He said, "Thank you for those speeches. Those were wonderful, but you're just forgetting one important thing. There is no market for drill bits." Pregnant pause. Right. The market is for holes.
Right.
And the moment someone comes up with a better way to make a hole, the drill bit will be obsolete. And well, he was right, didn't he? The problem is that these people had fallen into the same trap we do. We fall so in love with the product we're making now or the program we're doing now, the drill bit we're selling, that we forget people don't buy this drill bit because they love little pieces of metal. They buy it because they want to make a hole. What we need to be asking ourselves is this the best way to make a hole? What if somebody came up with a laser way to make a hole in a piece of wood? Would we not stop buying those dumb little pieces of metal? Absolutely. Nobody's buying 8-track tapes anymore to get their music, So all I'm saying is music is the whole. 8-track tapes, that was a drill bit back in 1978. Right. Now it's, streaming, it's Apple, it's, all kinds of different ways. So my point is, I think leaders to stay relevant need to separate the timely and the timeless. We need to know what's the drill bit and what's the hole. Never marry a method, marry a mission. Never marry a program, marry a purpose. Is what I would say.
Tim, you're full of advice. Where can people find more information about you?
Well, our website is probably the best place. It's growingleaders.com, and that's about the next gen stuff. And then timelmore.com would be where companies would usually find us for the 8 Paradoxes book, or anything else that I offer from my leadership. Yeah.
Well, Tim, appreciate you coming on the show today, my friend.
Kevin, thanks for having me. I'm honored to be with you, and hope we can do it again sometime.
For Tim Elmore, I'm Kevin Edwards signing off. Go out there, folks, and always, folks, keep it real. Thank you, Tim.